History is being made. Every day, billions of pieces of information are being shared across the globe. But before the digital age, the message and the paper were made by hand.
I don't think anything will ever replace the use of paper. I mean, even with computers, you can see something on a computer 1 minute and the next minute it's gone.
In ancient times, papermaking provided the written word to the people. And today, a few dedicated people are still trying to preserve this vanishing art.
From the time I was a little girl, I always wondered how paper was made, and no one could ever tell me. Turns out my mother had the same interest, and she went to the library and got a book out about how to make paper. So she started making paper one day, originally thinking she was going to make paper from all the wood shavings and sawdust in her wood shop. But after reading this book, she discovered this author was using other plant fibers. And so she started cutting down plants from her garden. And I came home from school one day and I saw this vat of pulp at the kitchen table, so I joined her. And so that's really how we started making paper.
Elaine and her daughter Donna run the International Paper Museum. They began hand-making paper together when Donna was in high school. Then they traveled the world, going to small villages in Southeast Asia to study the ancient art of handmade paper.
As I've discovered in my research, the modern paper, which is made in commercial mills, simply speeds up the original process that the Chinese invented so long ago.
Making paper by hand is a difficult, time-consuming process. Transforming a single tree into paper takes days of labor. The hard outer layer of bark must be carefully scraped away, revealing the soft inner bark. This is the part that would be transformed into paper. The strips of bark are placed in boiling water. The bark will be ready in 3 hours. When this is done, Donna can begin turning bark into paper. Paper has thousands of uses and comes in many sizes, shapes, and colors. So what would life be like without it? In the days before paper, what to write on was a problem.
Mankind communicated on other materials, bone, stone, animal skins, leaves, particularly palm leaves, and other materials of that nature.
It wasn't until the 1st century CE that modern papermaking was invented. It was a turbulent time for the Eastern Han Dynasty. Political instability and court intrigues were weakening a once mighty empire. Kai Lun was a court eunuch serving under Emperor He of Han. Inspired by bees and wasps chewing up plant fibers to make their nests, he invented what would become the modern process for making paper. As the years went on, the Chinese discovered that paper could fill countless roles in daily life. Other regions were eager to get their hands on their own paper.
At the same time, it was spreading more slowly, though, through the Western world, because countries were buying paper from China, but then they wanted to make it themselves.
Now that the bark has been cooked, the last bits of outer bark are picked off by hand. This machine cuts up the bark into smaller pieces. Water pushes the strips through the blades, cutting the fibers into finer strips. Now, the fibers need to be separated. The best way to do it is to beat it with a heavy stick. This is how it has been done since the early days of paper. 200 to 300 sheets of paper can be made from this one batch of paper pulp.
This is the tree that we cut down yesterday, and we stripped the bark, and then we cooked it, cleaned it, hand beat it, and now we're going to make paper with it. So this is the mulberry fiber. In Chinese, it's called go.
A dispersion agent is added to the water to create a slippery solution.
And this is something that's used only in Asian paper making, not in Western paper making. This is the screen, bamboo screen, flexible bamboo screen. It's inserted in the framework.
A special screen is sloshed in the pulp solution, leaving behind a fine layer on the screen. This is then carefully peeled off and put into a stack. One of paper's greatest powers is the ability to spread ideas and culture, and it played an important role in the spread of religion.
They wrote or printed on all of these various materials, but once paper was invented, then they had a much less expensive method of writing their religious manuscripts. Paper was a very important invention because that really opened up communication from mankind and it just spread all over the world.
Located at the foot of a mountain in Gapyeong County, South Korea, Jang's paper mill is one of the oldest of its kind in the country. It's where traditional paper-making techniques have been handed down throughout the generations. Owned by Jang Yong-hoon and his sons, the paper mill has lived through 3 generations. Mr. Jang has been managing the business for 50 years now.
저희 집에서 아버지가 그러니까 저한테 할아버지죠. 그 할아버지한테 배우셨던 그런 기술이 있을 거고 그 할아버지가 또 그 증조 할아버지한테 배우셨던 그런 기술들이 이제 대대로 이어져 오는 건데 그분들이 종이 속에 남아 있다고 생각을 합니다. 그래서 남들이 갖고 있지 않는 역사, 가문의 역사라고 할까요? 그런 거에 대해서 좀 자부심을 크게 느끼죠.
일을 하면 힘은 드는데 종이를 만들어 놓고면 누가 만든 것보다도 더 잘 만들어졌으니까 종이를 보고 하여튼 다 놀랐어. 정말로 소지 종이를 그렇게 누가 뜯은 사람이 없거든. 그 종이를 해놓고 많은 사람들이 나를 알았어. 보람을 느껴. 또 재미도 있고 그냥 힘이 잔뜩 들어서 죽을 지경인데 그 종이를 보면 그냥 뭐이라 할까 기쁨이 나온다고 뭐 하여튼 재미가 있어. 그래서 지금까지 해.
저는 가장 중요하게 생각하는 건 마음가짐 입니다. 그리고 그 마음가짐을 토대로 해서 재료를 선정을 해야 되거든요. 근데 재료 선정하는 것도 그 마음에 딸려 있는 거예요. 그러니까 원초적으로 중요한 거는 마음이고요. 그 다음에 중요한 건 재료입니다. 마음가짐이라는 것이 사실 흐트러지면 정성이 없어져요. 좀 정성이 덜 들였던 종이가 나왔구나 그러면은 이제 조금 미안하죠. 그 종이에 대해서. 어떻게 이어나가는 것이 좋은 방법이냐에 대해서도 사실 저는 고민을 많이 해요. 그것을 꼭 내가 이걸 통해서 이제 전통적으로 내려온 것을 계속 계승하고 또 발전시킬 수 있다라고 생각하면 다른 사람이라도 괜찮죠. 그래서 뭐 그러니까 혈족에 의한 것이 아니라 기술에 의한 전수가 가장 바람직하다고 생각을 합니다.
But there are those who worry if there will be another generation to pass the craft on to.
对手工纸的生产啊，我讲中华民国了，剩下6家，那6家要保存，在我的看法里面也觉得非常的困难，因为没有后进的师傅，后继无人。那之所以后继无人呢，是因为往往有非常多的因素影响因为这种纸张它在市场上的竞争力呢非常的薄弱，它没有办法跟大陆的纸张呢做一个廉价的一个竞争。它目前来台湾来讲，整个造纸师傅的年龄全部加起来，总平均大概将近65岁左右。那这种行业呢，我所认知的里面来讲呢，大概有15到20年都没有新进的师傅。技术用现在的药品，可能可以非常多的部分呢做一个取代事实上，在台湾所生产比较快速的这种纸张制造过程，那从原料的蒸煮开始的话呢，到一张纸的形成大概最快也要在大概在4天到7天左右。毕竟这种纸的这种价格呢，它在贩售的过程非常不合理的一个价钱，那么没有办法回馈到师傅这个地方，所以新进的人呢就相对的变少。这个是这张，百合啦。有时候我们在卖纸的时候，就跟人家讲，我卖给你纸，好像在嫁女儿一样，你好好珍惜它。
Sadly, even the best paper deteriorates over time, and valuable history can be lost. And since most ancient paper contains lignin, irreplaceable historical documents are at risk. Jake Solik works at Tallis Conservation and Restoration Supplies. Tallis is one of the primary suppliers for the conservation and restoration field.
It's almost like auto repair. It's taking apart an old book and replacing or repairing elements that have broken within it.
Paper artifacts from the past are being rushed into digital form in many cases to prevent losing information due to paper degradation.
His attitude is he gets the information, I digitalize everything, and I send it on to, I think there's a national repository, and let them decide if the value of the document is, I guess, of a value that it really should be stored for posterity.
But this is problematic because it essentially means what knowledge we keep of the past is decided by what a small group values. Much could be lost.
A lot of the world's archives are being digitalized. They're being put out to the general public so they can be researched. We can gain information, which is wonderful. But yet the originals are also still being kept just for their, forensic footprint that they leave. That's really very, very important. And to certain people, it really is going to say, are we really dealing with, a real fact or a real work of art, or is this really something that somebody just created for their own benefit?
I mean, I have a library of probably 3,000 books, and I savor every one of them, because I can go back and look at the books and the photographs and I would never even dream about having something only on a computer.
Just such an everyday material that everyone takes for granted, and I just am fascinated by all the different ways paper is made. The basic technique is pretty simple and pretty the same, but there's all these variations that just fascinates me.
The stack of paper is put into a press to squeeze out any excess water. Then, the sheets are placed on a wooden board to dry. Now the paper-making process is complete, but no piece of paper is finished until someone uses it and transforms it into an individual work of art.
Many people who are going to an art school and have to take the courses in Photoshop and all the different media or programs that can produce art want to take a course that's hands-on, where they're really going back to the way things used to be. Many of the courses in bookbinding and paper making and in materials are really almost oversubscribed in some of these art schools, just because there's a yearning to use these type of methods.
Donna continues to teach handmade papermaking in her garden, while her father and mother still preserve the history of paper in their museum.
We love paper, and we wanted to be able to share our extensive collection with everybody. Between my mother and myself, we've traveled many times throughout the world, in particular Asia, and we go to remote papermaking villages and document their papermaking.
So many people print out what they see on the computer so that they have it, but they have to print it out on paper. So I don't think paper's going to vanish very quickly at all, because you still need the printed word.
I think the biggest thing that you can really say is authenticity. If you're just dealing with a digital file or that record, it's unfortunately very easy to alter and really create what you want it to say. Having the original, and especially with some of the very sophisticated dating procedures that we have and ways to really authenticate a document or work of art, it really substantiates the information that's contained in that document or work that you're just not going to be able to do with a digital file.
나도 남길 수 있는 종이를 만들겠다라는 생각을 해요. 그래서 현대는 많이 생산하는 게 중요한 것 같지는 않은 것 같아요. 그래서 많이 생산한다는 것은 사심이 들어갈 수가 있어요. 그래서 사심이 들어간다고 그러면은 종이가 품질이 떨어지죠.
For almost 2,000 years, the story of humanity has been written on paper. Its role in history is perhaps unrivaled. Few things have been able to spread and preserve human feelings and understandings. And in the digital age, a single delicate sheet of handmade paper is one of the strongest links to our past.